What is up, everybody? We are with episode 3, aka the 4th episode of Bitcoin Shrooms, and already we got Artificial coming in hot. What's up, Artificial? Sounds like you guys had a good fun trip. So it is our 4th show, and this is just getting more and more exciting, guys, and more fun. The Shrooms are coming. That's the name of the show, and we talk about Bitcoin Shrooms, but really as it pertains to the history of Bitcoin. And we're just getting deeper and deeper into the fun, into the knowledge. And this week, our topic is basically Bitcoin storage. So hot wallets, cold wallets, and even one of my favorites is Cash's Coin, which I've got a fun story for other people and shitty for me. So welcome, everybody. We've got a giveaway. So I'm going to throw it to Ski God right away. Welcome, guys. They just got back from a nice, fun trip. And yeah, welcome, man.
Hell yeah, what's going on, guys? It's a little bit better when the show is all-time high waiting room. You know what I mean? Hey, do you guys remember DeepSeek and that whole thing that ruined the world? Well, it's over, okay? We're heading back up. We're here for episode 3, technically episode 4 of the Shrooms are coming. We're working our way deep into the ecosystem, and if you guys remember, we've been giving away something each episode, and you can see right here on the screen. And I got to see this in real life. Rolo has a few of these, and he rocked one during our trip to Park City, in which he almost got himself killed snowboarding, but he survived to show up for you guys today. If you want to win one of these LOL Shroom beanies, which I can confirm is very legit, you have to please share this live video on X, send it to your grandma, let her know that you're walking her through the history and lore of the Bitcoin ecosystem, and make sure you throw some comments in when these guys inevitably ask you some questions. So share the space, comment, interact, engage, and you can win one of these dope beanies for this Q1 winter that we're working our way through. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty smooth, guys. Like, I worked through that nicely. All right, God,
I love that you plugged your effort and how you did it, literally without a breath, just right into it. Be like, guys, that was great, wasn't it? Be like, yes, good job. You know.
God knows your grandma wants a Shroom beanie. You better count on it.
Now, these are nice, man. Your swag, Rolo, the stuff you've been getting is super nice. And I know there's going to be a Shroom booth at the Bitcoin Vegas in May, which is super exciting. And I assume you're going to have some of the swag for people, aren't you?
Totally. We're super psyched for that. It's going to be, the goal is fun, and the goal is just kind of get the Shrooms out there, we're going to be there talking shop, just answering all questions and just hanging out. So yeah, we got a nice kit of merch lined up for people to come and grab. Just lots of fun stuff. I figured I just had fun with it. I was like, let's make some cool shit. We'll hand it out. And if people like it, they like it. And we got some cool art exhibits. So it should be a great time. We may have a pretty interesting location. Not going to reveal too much detail on that, but we've got some fun plans coming up for the Vegas Shroom booth, and hope to see you guys out there.
So it is inside then?
It will be inside. It will be in the conference venue, and it will not be out in the rain or the desert sun or whatever else. So,
and this is the main concert venue, right? We could give a little away, right? Like it's in the main.
Yeah.
This is the main Bitcoin event. This isn't the like ordinals. This is the big show, the big dance.
No, this is the one. Yeah, we can we can get a little excited. It'll be a cool location. It's gonna be
Donald Trump will be at our booth. He is going to be at our
Donald
booth.
Trump is one of our guests.
Yeah. Michael Saylor and Donald Trump will be there. They'll be working the booth.
They may walk by it. You never know.
No, Rolo. He didn't say walking by. They are working the booth. Like who?
No, they're working our back. Yeah. They're handing out Shroom merch.
Booth? Trump will be like, original Rolo, the guy's awesome. He's like the best Shroom holder ever, except for Snoop Toshi. Speaking of which, Snoop Toshi, welcome to the show. This is your first appearance here.
Great guest today.
And how lucky are we that he is with us? And he is the only, in the intro, the only Shroom that isn't one of the four of us. Kenny couldn't be here this week. Kenny is, I think he's studying to be like an astronaut or something like that. I don't know.
He's sitting for an exam. Yeah,
Damn impressive stuff.
Getting out there.
You're stuck with me. But thank you, gentlemen. Great to be here. 3 is my lucky number, so happy to be on episode 3. And dig into a bit of this Bitcoin shroom lore, which is nearly endless, I'm happy to say.
Oh,
Welcome aboard, legend.
Absolutely. So yeah, welcome, Snoop, and I'm sure at some point you'd share what you're working on, like one of the 38 things that you do. Probably one of the smartest coders in the space, always going in 68 directions. You should come up with a PFP collection that represent that, like something with 8 tentacles or something with octopuses. I don't know. Like it's just a thought, right? Write it down, and I won't even charge you for the idea.
God.
Yeah. So cool. Well, let's kick it off. We did the giveaway. We talked about the booth. Rolo, why don't you take it over? There's some great shrooms this week. Some of my favorites. There's going to be a lot of good combo around this stuff.
Totally. Yeah, thanks. I am super stoked about this episode. It's a really fun topic. Today we're doing Bitcoin storage, so we're going to be kind of going across the whole, historical gamut of all types and forms of Bitcoin storage, and really going into some fun history with that. And so, reminder to our viewers, we're here. This is the Shrooms Are Coming episode 3 of our series. And basically what we're doing is, we're taking a journey through Bitcoin's history as told through rare digital art. And so, we're going to pick a batch of shrooms. We're going to go through each of them. We're going to go into some of the aesthetics, have a little fun with that, talk shop. And then, of course, we're going to go into some lore deep dive and talk about some real, nuts and bolts history behind, what our collection's creator, Shrimtoshi, may or may not have wanted to convey with these pieces. So that's pretty much what we're doing. And yeah, we can kick off with our first shroom with that said. So theme is Bitcoin storage, and our first shroom that we have here is this beautiful little guy called ordinal number 675 Hot Wallet. So I think we could all agree this shroom is absolutely fire. As some of you might know, there are only 2 shrooms in the entire collection that have that fire aesthetic. One is Ocean Boiler, and the other is Hot Wallet. And that factoid actually prompted us to look at the entire collection again, and we actually determined there are actually 23 shrooms throughout the entire collection that utilize a shroom face that kind of departs from the signature skin color design. So if you actually look, we put together a little visual list there, and it's got all the unique shrooms that use a different aesthetic there. Examples like the Frozen Shroom, the A16Z Shroom. Shrimtoshi got a little funky with it and departed from the traditional design. And I really tend to like some of those shrooms because of their unique aesthetic. And, he had a little fun with it. So as far as this shroom goes, aesthetically, I adore this design. I might be a little biased, as I said, because I own the sibling known as Ocean Boiler. I think the Fire Shroom aesthetic is unique. I think it really distinguishes it from the rest of the collection. And it was kind of a strategic factor in why I bought one of the only 2 in the collection. See how that pans out. But as a fun plugin, I did have some of our merch made with Hot Wallet on the design. And another little fun plugin is that one of our dear friends and associates, Marky Meta, is none other than the owner of this shroom. So it's a really cool one. He actually acquired it in a 1-to-1 shroom trade that I thought was a really awesome move at the time. So that's a little bit of market history behind it.
What was the shroom he traded for?
Yeah. I think he had the yarn ball. He had picked up the yarn ball at some point, and he wanted to kind of get something different. So I don't know if it was a cash plus deal, but I know that he traded that one out and got this one in return. So it's a cool move in my opinion. And
I feel like yarn ball that one was on the floor for a while. It looks like that one is now vaulted.
Yeah, I don't know if it got scooped up. It might have gotten picked up or someone delisted it, but
I think it was definitely where's Yarn Ball. Oh yeah, it was the last one bought for 1.2 a month ago.
There we go.
Should we look? Should we dig into their wallet and see what else they own? Figure out who it is.
We absolutely could. It's all out there. Yeah. But whatever you guys think out there, audience, we'd love to know what you guys think of some of these shrooms. Just give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, drop a comment. Let us know what you think of these. And what do you guys think? What do our co-hosts think of this piece?
And just remember, guys, if you drop a comment and repost the post, like Ski God said, you are eligible for the giveaway hat. So just reminding you there. So already we got some great comments from Bongo, Not Pharma, saying Snoop is the GOAT. We agree.
We agree.
But Snoop, why don't you kick us off? What do you think of this one?
I mean, I love it because, of course, a hot wallet, we all know what a hot wallet is, but I like to think that there's deeper meaning behind this, which is paper money burns, paper wallets burn, wallets burn. What doesn't burn is probably something I hope we touch on later on, which is how you store Bitcoin safely. And one of the safest ways you can do this is literally with a fucking titanium plate, something that can resist fire damage. Now, I don't know if that was any intent behind this piece, but I almost see this almost like a warning, where even hot wallets are incredibly dangerous, but even paper wallets can also be somewhat dangerous. And you do need to think, what if my house gets flooded? What if it gets burnt down? What if all of these things? And so to me, that fire shroom is an interesting one because it shows you just how fleeting your ownership of sats can be if you don't know what you're doing. So I truly love this shroom. It's one of the greats.
Love that.
What do you think, Ski God? Does this? I know you're an aesthetic man. Does this meet aesthetic needs? It's got the square head, but I agree with Rolo. The fire is, for lack of a better metaphor, fire.
Yeah, I like what this shroom stands for, but I hate the color brown, and I like the whole burning. The whole burning shroom head is so epic, and then it gets ruined with like a dad wallet. So I'm not a huge fan of that, but I do like Snoop's idea, and I kind of see it almost too as like fiat is slowly burning away. If you just if you're just holding on to fiat, it's slowly burning behind the scenes without you really knowing about it. So there's a lot of cool kind of ideation behind this one, but I've never been a fan of the big fat dad wallet brown stuff. So yeah.
So you like the message, but the delivery vehicle and fat dad wallet. I almost picture like back in the 80s and 90s, like dads would have their weekend jeans and the wallet would always be in the back, and there'd literally be a white line within the pocket for that fat effing pocket, and you wonder why they're going to a chiropractor from the time they're 40 to the time they die.
I get it. Like, I get that you got to get the message through and that it's very obvious. So like, what are you really going to do? But yeah.
I mean, you have to ask the question, could he have gone black leather wallet? There were Shroomtoshi was a detailed man and he made his choices for reasons. So who knows?
It's still a dad wallet. It's hard to unsee what Ski God said though, because just picture that flame head completing like with a more shroom like the more standard cap, but then the top is just like tips of flames. Obviously then it loses the meaning with the wallet and the message, but it would probably be color wise one of the coolest shrooms in the collection.
Had so much potential.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can. Are you able to throw up the list of different ones? We could check out the other flame one is in there, and then there's some other interesting ones. We could always pull up later, but
yeah, go ahead, Ski.
Also, like it's really bothering me that this wallet, like, why does it have the little clip as if to say this wallet's like, what is it going to unfold and stuff is going to fall out? So it needs to have like a little button clip. Like, I get that it's a wallet, dude. Shroomtoshi. I know you're out there watching right now, bro. Like, we get that it's a wallet. Okay, why did we have the extra clip? What's going on?
Dude, what do you mean he's watching? He's right next to me. Yeah, no, you make very strong points. Right. So I've got a fun little story about this one. So I don't know if you guys remember. I know Ski God literally bought the last shroom from Shroomtoshi, so he's not going to remember. But right when, you got to remember, like a year went by, all of us wanted all we wanted all through 2020, whatever year that was, 2023, I think it was, all we wanted was a Bitcoin shroom, and we couldn't effing get one because Shroom Toshi, he had the first three go up, Avocado, Sovereign, and one of the protos, I think.
Proto-S.
Yeah, one of the protos. And, we know ZK got one. I don't know who has Sovereign, but that one's badass. But those went on Sotheby's. Yeah. He actually did another Sotheby's launch. I don't know if he was just going to do them all that way. And then he pulled back. But so fast forward literally a year later, I think it was around this time last year, if I'm not mistaken, like sometime in January, T. Knowles was sporting. All of a sudden, I saw him post on the timeline because in one of my groups, Rock Toshi's like, hey guys, we should really just like pony up like 20 or 30 of us and do a group deal on shrooms. And a bunch of us were like, yeah, I don't know. He wants too much. It's too high. But I didn't know things. And all of a sudden I saw T. Knowles post this one. And then I was like, oh shit, it's happening. And then one other person posted same day. And like, I literally like full firehead panic mode, like, fuck, it's happening. So our group got together, and within a day we had enough for like 35 of them. And those fuckers in those 2 days went so fast. So like, dude, I just remember that FOMO of getting in and wanting those things.
Yeah, that was wild. It's really wild. That pit in your stomach feeling, very relatable.
Well, and they're all great shrooms, but I mean, let's be honest, like some of them, to each your own, of course, but some are more personally aesthetically pleasing than others. So you didn't necessarily want like Princess Peach or some of the, you didn't want, or the baby room blue with the pacifier one, like some stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. We all say, is there such thing as a floor shroom? Questionably subjective, but totally. They're all amazing, and it's great to own one, but everyone has their kind of resonance with different ones.
Yeah, so Lalo sold ETH to get his shroom, and if you think back, like what a great move! Like the ETH Bitcoin ratio last year at this time was decent, and now I believe it's in like a 4 or 5 year all time low. So at least Lalo preserved his wealth with the shroom, which I would say these Ski God and I talked about this a lot, and you too, Rolo. I know in the last couple months, like. My always thing is, if Bitcoin melts faces and goes up super fast, can ordinals keep up? And my answer for 99% of them is no. Right. Once Bitcoin hits, let's say it's 350K for the new floor or base, then everything's going to reprice. But I would say Bitcoin Shrooms is probably one of the ones I would argue that could keep pace.
Yes, I think we see eye to eye on that. Yeah, so going back to our lovely little shroom here, I think now we can probably segue into lore time.
Before we move on, Lalo says, funny to see old dads talking about old dads, right, Ski? So that is true. Like we're making fun of old dads. We're like, wait, you look in the mirror like, shit, damn it. All right, moving on to the next one.
Yeah. So just a quick point out. I posted a little picture of the uncommon shrooms there in the chat there. It's got a little image of the different ones that kind of depart from the normal design, if anybody wants to check that out. But going back into our theme here and our topic, we're doing Bitcoin storage. This guy's hot wallet. So Shroom Toshi left descriptions with each of the shrooms except for the redacted ones, and this one said, to quote, "8th rule. Bitcoin keys generated and stored on internet-connected devices are more vulnerable to theft. TLDR, hot wallets bad." So fortunately for my sleep-prone co-hosts, except for you, Snoop, I don't have to drone on for too long about what this shroom may symbolize. Shroom Toshi was kind to us and did not leave too much room for guessing, and Snoop did a fabulous job of kind of outlining, the potential symbolism behind that. And again, I think the point is rather succinct. A hot wallet is any software wallet that exposes private keys to the internet. So, going into that distinction, there's an emphasis on that it really boils down to the private key location. So whether the wallet is connected to the internet or not, that somewhat becomes semantics, because then you get into the topic of hardware wallets, which we're going to discuss. For example, technically speaking, a Ledger or Trezor hardware wallet, it will interface to authorize and broadcast transactions, but the private keys are stored technically separately on a secure chip that's disconnected from the internet. So you could have a paper wallet, you write down the keys on that, and that's also technically a quote unquote cold wallet. So I won't go into the weeds. We're going to do another shroom related to that. But, point is, if you store Bitcoin in any wallet that exposes your private keys to the internet, your funds are at risk of being hacked or phished or stolen. It is that simple. It is that fundamental. So some prime examples include any of the following. So there are popular web-based apps, things like Xverse, Magic Eden, Exodus, Phantom, MetaMask, you name it. These are all, like industry standard names. If it's a downloaded software wallet, the private keys all originate from the software, which is inherently connected to the internet. And, we got some images here. Branding and marketing, it's pretty interesting. I always find it kind of funny seeing some of the branding and the marketing strategies for some of these hot wallet companies. You take a gander at some of the slogans used in some of these, and you'll understand how fairly ridiculous some of them are. And what I mean by that is, we'll see here, quote unquote, the Bitcoin wallet for everyone, says Xverse. And Phantom, your trusted companion. I feel like, it just softens and warms you up, doesn't it? Lest we forget, not 2 years ago, I don't know if anybody does remember or maybe forgot, Phantom, notoriously came under fire when it was revealed that there was a massive private key leak in August of 2022. So, there are trade-offs. What you trade for in exchange for proper security is ease and convenience. And I don't think these companies will necessarily advertise that because it's maybe not in their best interest. But it's good to be aware, and like Snoop Toshi said, that wallet is very flammable in a metaphorical sense. So, you don't need to pull out a cold card and transfer micro SD cards just to sign a transaction. These hot wallets make it easier. And I think that the takeaway from this really is everything is kind of a spectrum. If you want to trade a little bit, you want to have some easy access funds, sure, go nuts. It's not a bad idea to have a little bit of funds disposable in a hot wallet. That's great. But I think that one of Toshi's emphases or whatever for this theme, as we'll see later with the other shrooms, is that, when you have any sort of substantial balance, you probably want to keep that in a cold wallet. And that is pretty much the essence of this shroom. So any other thoughts or comments?
Cold storage. I mean, it really sums it up beautifully. I love it.
Hey.
I mean, even some hardware wallets. I mean, I hope I'm not misremembering, but wasn't there some hullabaloo last year when Ledger, had an update? Or was it Trezor? I forget which one of the two. That needed some sort of online update. That opened up a whole can of worms. I know it was.
That was Ledger.
Was scary time.
They've actually both have had issues, but the Ledger was the one where they were like, "Hey, we have a new feature where we can, if you lose your keys or Ledger or whatever, like we can hack in through the back door." And you're like, "That's why I bought this, so you could not hack in through the back door." And it actually was like a pay feed service, and they were like, no, don't worry, it's our other group in Europe, so we're totally separate from them. We'll be like, yeah, but you could go to them. So it was a bizarre thing. There was a backlash in on that. I don't know if you want to talk about them separately, Rolo, because between the two, I'm more of a Trezor fan than Ledger, but even Trezor has had some issues with the hardware wallet being able to be kind of solder hacked, if you will, if they can get their hands on the device.
Yeah, I would say on the whole, Ledger has had a little bit more of an inflammatory public-facing history. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. That was a scary time. I mean, even in recent times, we've had the whole history with the Ledger CEO getting kidnapped. His finger got chopped. His wife got kidnapped. Like they have really been through the through the rinse. And Maybe it's a product of their philosophy. Many people take issue with the fact that they're not open source, and you really do kind of have to put a lot of trust in their thing. And we'll talk about that. Just like you said, I won't go too much into it, but yeah, I totally agree, man. So with that said, we have our next shroom, which is an appropriate segue, number 681, which is titled aptly Cold Storage. So this is our refrigerator shroom on ice. I won't lie, I don't think I love the aesthetic on this one, although I do acknowledge and admire the tongue-in-cheek use of a fridge as symbolism for cold storage. It's tall, it's an oblong shroom with a somewhat drab color, I guess. Not too much interesting going on in the aesthetic department, but floor shroom perhaps. Maybe.
I love the art breakdown here. It's a drab shroom. It's a fridge. It looks like a child has posted their homework assignment with duct tape on the center of the refrigerator.
You're right. The color palette did not resonate with my inner subjectivity. And but again, yeah, does a floor shroom exist? I don't know. I love them all. They have their own role. I would own any shroom, period. But yes, this one. Maybe it's not my favorite. Well, I'll kind of leave it at that. But what do you guys think? What does our audience think? Drop us a comment. What do you think about fridge shroom?
Well, how would you show cold
it.
Storage on a shroom?
Oh, Roller, you've been called
Great
out.
Question.
I was thinking about this.
I have some ideas.
Ice cube head.
I got my answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
You could go first if you want, Ski.
Let's be courteous.
I was gonna back you up, Rolo, and say that
that's a first.
This just isn't. It's just an uninteresting shroom. I feel like Shroom Toshi was kind of over it, and this is maybe just one of his last ones, and he was just like, "Fuck it, just gonna put a fridge." My favorite part of this shroom is the duct tape. Honestly, that little detail is probably the best. But I mean, it's not mimetic at all. It doesn't strike a chord. Whereas the hot wallet one, at least, is kind of like a fun rethinking of hot, right? So I would have gone more of icicle, maybe a seed phrase, like a seed phrase frozen in an icicle type of vibe, or an ice cube or whatever. That would have matched
a lightning icicle.
Yeah, that would have matched the hot wallet thing, but this one, I don't know anybody who would be dying for this shroom. Yeah, so.
Guys, by the end of all, what do we have, 22, 23 episodes, we're going to be like, why don't any of the other shroom holders like us anymore? That we liked our 4 shrooms, or however many Snoop has, and then the rest, it's like, these are terrible. But Kenny likes it. Kenny also just got
a fan
busted by a proctor for cheating on his test because he was typing and listening to the show on his phone. So Kenny, I hope it was worth it, getting a 0 on your final. But Kenny loves the shroom.
You say there's no mimetic behind it, but I mean, there's a bit of foreshadowing there. Do you not see a sideways Billy glasses stuck to the fridge?
Oh, you gotta love that.
All right, get out of here.
As Bongo just sent 0.05 Bitcoin to Snoop's wallet for the plug.
Yeah. Bongo's gonna post. He's gonna post this later with Billy glasses over that B for sure.
Yeah.
No, I to Snoop's question, I think I'll let go Ski God here. I'm just drawing from, I don't know, I guess a little family history. My great grandpa, he was in the business of freezers, or I guess ice.
He was an ice hauler. He hauled blocks of ice up 19 flights of stairs, and that's why we're billionaires.
Right? Yeah. I wish. I don't know what happened to the business, but in the late 1800s, early 1900s, he was in the freezer industry, and he stored ice. And I don't know. I guess the thing that came to mind was have a little ice chest open with a little cold wallet just kind of buried beneath the ice. And but I mean, look, fridge. I like the tongue in cheek. Once again, we love the shrooms. But
Toshi, this one sucks too. Next. It doesn't. It doesn't
Oh,
suck.
yeah.
Here's my idea. It's Ice Cube with the subtle shadowy
Oh my
B
God.
as the like inner melty thing. So
I love it.
That's
I
it.
hear
love
that, but I'm just gonna play the devil's advocate here. I love this shroom. From a narrative perspective, because we have a hot wallet, and again, remember, Bitcoin
Yeah.
Shrooms is there to educate people about Bitcoin.
Right.
And
Right.
if anyone heard the term cold storage, they're going to think of a fridge. Not freezing storage or ice storage or anything, but cold storage. If you've got to store somewhere
Fair
something
points.
cold, you're going to put it in the fridge. So to
Yeah.
me, I think this again was really trying to teach more than anything, and so I dig the fridge.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think the thing I love, like I said in the other episode, is that some of these shrooms are going to have people that really love it. Some people don't like it as much for whatever reason. And it's great that people like it for different reasons or hate it for different reasons. I think Shroomtoshi maybe would have enjoyed that. And also, I guess in the end, there's just the artist's choice and depiction, and it just sort of is what it is. And they have their reasons, and I totally respect that. I love that people have different kind of subjective spectrum on this, and that's what makes this thing great. So
Yeah, and Kenny's
cool.
got a good point. He's basically saying, remember that this is like 8-bit. You got only a couple
Yes.
pixels to work with here. So Snoop's absolutely right.
Yes.
Like
No
when you when you think cold wallet, you do think fridge. I would buy this one. In fact, whoever owns it, if you're listening, 0.5 Bitcoin, I'll buy it right now.
let's
it's,
chat. Yeah.
I think it's aesthetically great. And I'll sell it
Right.
for 0.8.
There you go. That's the biggest. That is the most fun you could have said right there. Is you literally offered
To get
below
that market
half
price
of floor
down.
price for it. Like that's
That's the
insulting
Point
as a
seven.
kid.
We're
Point
just
seven.
trying-
Point seven.
We're just trying to get
What,
trying to
what's
get good
floor
deals
right
here.
now? 0.6, whatever 0.01 above half of floor is. So 0.066 I'll pay.
Right.
That can probably
Here's what I
be a
would-
running gesture throughout this show, can't it, for any listener and any shroom holder.
Yeah, for sure.
That
Just
offer stands for anyone.
well, if you want to know the real value of something, at least a closer to the real value, look at Liquidium Fi and see if any loans have been out lately. That's probably a little closer to what the floor actually is. But Shrooms have held the floor
Sure.
over the Magic Eden floor, which most people look at for. I don't think it's ever dipped under, has it?
It barely. The cat shroom went for 0.75, and that was it. And that was at a really bad point in the market when everything was just kind of eating the shit.
Was that a Magic Eden or on Liquidium Fi?
It was a Magic Eden, Magic Eden sale. But actually, a brief side tangent. Ski and I had a fun discussion with none other than Artificial this weekend, and we were kind of talking about pricing in it. He asked a really interesting question, which was like, how did Shroomtoshi really kind of like decide like what these things were worth when they first came out, and like why 1.5 BTC, why 2, why 3? Like he was that confident, I guess, in what he was asking. And I guess the thought occurred to me, it was like, when you mentioned those first 3 auctions, Blue, I think he kind of just said, like, we're going to throw it out there on the auction block. The estimated pricing was 20,000-30,000 US dollars, and people spoke, the market spoke, and those things went for 6 figures. And that's kind of what it was. Those first 3 just went for what they went. And then I think he kind of just said, hey, well, guess what? These first 3 have kind of said their piece. I'm going to list it right around here. And I think that's fairly reasonable. That's kind of how we got there.
Yeah, no, he never dipped below 1 Bitcoin, and I know when he sold them. But if you go too high when you sell them, you're going to run into another problem. There's only certain people who are going to pay 1 Bitcoin for this thing. There's 220 of them. You don't need a ton of people. But if he had tried to go 1.7 or 2, all of a sudden you're probably shrinking that pool to by 70%. So it is pretty amazing though. That
sales too, right?
What's that?
You got to think
he had.
You got to think for future sales too, right? Like you got to imagine, like if somebody wants to spend a Bitcoin and a half, 2 Bitcoin, you got to at least give them the idea that maybe these things will outperform in Bitcoin standards too. Like if you just charge 10 Bitcoin, like, well, then you're saying like you expect down the road somebody to pay 30 Bitcoin for it. Like,
right.
I don't know. Yeah, we were going back and forth in how that was. Let's just say interesting, because technically now they're below mint price, right? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like it could kind of go back and forth, but I also look at these
Yeah.
things often in a PFP brand building story perspective. So like, this isn't one that's going to be out there and super like stand out and notable, but it would be, I guess, a cool one to just be stuffed off in the ledger if you actually like were maybe worked for one of these companies or just, wanted to stay under the radar or something. It makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also, Shroom Toshi probably, this is just my guess, of course, I can't know, but he probably was thinking like, who's my target market? Who are the people that are going to be realistically picking these things up from me? Because he had priced tiered categories, where like the quote unquote floors, I guess, were 1.5, but that some of the ones that were special to him, he raised that a little bit up to 2 and even 2.5, 6. What do you call it? Rags to riches. The boob shroom was 3, and then of course
Shock.
right, he reserved those proto shrooms for like it was 3 plus minimum, and they went all the way up to 4.75. But I think he probably said, he was like, well, there are going to be those collectors or those people that really are motivated to pick these up at this price. But yeah, I think he probably said, if I list this thing at 10, like that's probably not gonna filter too many people. It's going to be a very select few and maybe not realistic. So yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So back to our story arc here. Lore time for cold storage. Shrimtoshi's description for this guy said, your Bitcoin are most secure when your keys are generated offline and never touch an internet connected device. TLDR, cold storage, good. So, as little as I said on aesthetics, I'll say fairly as little on the take home message there. It's pretty clear. I think it's good that some shrooms are quick. We can probably cover this one and get onto some more on today's show. But for one, there are many different types of cold wallets that now exist. The only thing they absolutely require is storage of the seed phrase in some offline medium. Most cold wallets are built for extreme physical durability. It's a critical, property, but it's technically not mandatory, as we've kind of alluded to. You could write down, a private key on a piece of paper, but do you want that to endure with time? Trade-offs. So, what do I mean by the last statement? There's an entire range of forms of storage, ranging from, like I said, fragile piece of paper to etched on a piece of bomb-proof titanium or steel, as Snoop mentioned, to stored on an air-gapped SSD or a floppy disk, to all the way to something like today's sophisticated digital hardware wallets like the Ledger, the Cold Card, or Trezor devices. So, it really runs the whole gamut, and the whole industry. There's been an entire industry that has developed just around that. And if we talk about electronic cold wallets for a second. I sometimes like to call these things warm wallets. I guess you could say it's just sort of a moniker. Devices like the Ledger and the Trezor, as I mentioned, they deploy a setup where private keys are stored in an isolated chip, and that's supposedly disconnected from the internet. I don't know how it works on a granular level. Snoop, you might be geared towards how that works, but a second chip exists, and that interface is to allow you to sign transactions. And in order to sign it, it supposedly interfaces with the private keys on the secure offline chip. So I'm, again, by no means an expert, but that relay, I guess you could say, makes me a little existentially nervous. It doesn't seem to me like it's entirely the same thing as signing transactions manually as a human interface, from like a paper wallet or an air-gapped wallet. At the same time, I acknowledge security is a spectrum, and so is cold storage. They're all kinds of trade-offs, and yeah. But the last thing I was going to point out here on the topic of this shroom is, these warm wallets, they're not impervious to security flaws, as you pointed out, Blue. There have been a host of exploits that have occurred in the past. I guess the difference is kind of like how it happened. So Trezor, for example, whatever exploit that went on the news and it was famous for, it was an in-person physical attack. So it wasn't that someone like abstracted the keys from remotely. Someone was able to brute force hack into it with a security exploit. And it still speaks to the fact that they're not impenetrable, but security is a spectrum, and that is the last I got to say on this one.
I bought my first hardware wallet for 0.36 Bitcoin. So I have if anyone wants to buy it from me, I have a $37,000 hardware wallet storage device if you want it. It's only been used once, so
let's talk after. But so that's thank you, my G. If no one else has any other comments, we could segue to our next
let's do it.
Our next interesting piece. Cool. So ordinal number 682 is called multisig. I am a big fan of this one personally. So it's a cute little shroom. I find it quite simple, yet an intriguing design. Departs from what we've seen so far, and I like it in part because the unique shape and the symbolism here. It's pretty clean. I think it's understated. Not a loud piece, but something I like. Aside from the green, black, gray colorway, is a cool little attention to detail. So it's minorly subtle, but Shrimtoshi made 2 of those multi-signature keys painted green out of the 3. And I think that clearly symbolizes the need to have 2 out of 3 authorizing private keys as a minimum majority ratio for signing any Bitcoin transactions in multi-sig mode. So I thought that was pretty cool. And what do you guys think of this one?
Aesthetically or concept
the whole kit and caboodle, yeah. Whatever you want to.
I'm a little biased because this is one of my babies, so I'm a big fan of this one.
All right, tell us why you picked this one.
Give us the tea.
I mean, the multi-sigs. The beauty of this space is collaboration and being trustless as much as one can. And so when you have gargantuan amounts of BTC going through various wallets, you don't want any one person to be in control. And so these multi-sig wallets effectively need 2. At least, you can set up, you can need all 3 people, let's say, to agree, or however many people you want to set up, but all need to agree so that effectively you do have this consensus that's necessary for anything to be transferred. So again, it's just a beautiful thing, a great use of technology, and something that I think is not well known enough. I don't think enough people use multi-sigs, in all honesty. They are incredibly valuable security reasons.
Totally. Thank God I didn't poo-poo your shroom.
I should have stayed quiet for longer. I'll bite my tongue next time.
Although, if someone shit on it, we just double down then.
Right.
What do you think, Ski God?
Standard protocol.
I think it's okay. I don't ever use a multi-sig, nor will I probably ever. So I'll just step aside on this one and just go bro out. Yeah.
No multi-sig?
No real opinion.
Not even for Fartcoin?
No, bro. Fartcoin is, you got to store a Fartcoin. If you want to keep it safe, you have to store it in different hot wallets because it's all about hot air rising. You can't really store it in a cold wallet. That's just not
cool. In a warm wallet.
Yeah.
Very warm. Yeah. So yeah, I'll let you guys chat about I'm starting to realize the storage section is definitely not my cup of tea, for sure.
especially the cold wallet storage section.
Yeah, just you got the fat brown dad wallet, the fridge, the keys. I'll skip.
Hackers
the virtues
are listening.
Of having our 4 guests. Yeah,
Hackers are listening to the show right now. They're like, Ski God, note to self.
We got a hot wallet guy.
Doesn't like cold wallets and owns a bunch of shit.
I got cold wallets. I do use them, but that doesn't mean I like them.
It's just boring for you, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
I have concealed carry. I just don't bring it around with me.
Hey, with all these attacks happening lately, guys, we can't even be joking about this, okay?
That is true, and that does bring up an interesting point. I don't know if there's actually a shroom for that, Rolo, but do we, people who go to Bitcoin conferences, because I'm never going to one ever again publicly on air, talk to me offline. But do you change the way that you approach these or go to these, or or do you conceal carry? Probably not. But do you beef up your own personal security, or you just become more aware? Because that shit, I mean, the Ledger guy, that's terrifying. That is utterly terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah, it has really become a topical conversation. And, I've seen people talking about it, discussing the whole thing about concealed carry, etc. A lot of people, they talk about carrying, but I think preparation is really the key there, because you don't want to react to a situation. You want to prevent, and
Right.
You don't know how your access to a gun is really going to be when you're caught off guard. I mean, we could talk all day about security and armor, this and that, but like you said, at the end of the day, an ounce of prevention can really make your life a lot easier. And I think it speaks to the need to travel in packs. Keep a low profile. Don't shout too much. And like you said, yeah, I think this really does give people some pause before attending live events. This does change the modality of thinking, and to anybody who poo-poos on privacy and legislation and everything else, talking about people's ability to conceal their identity, this is an underscore of why people do that, and they take it seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely has changed. And I think, I think depending on how the justice system, how hard they come down on these guys, like you almost need to make an example, like just put the first batch in jail for life or something, I mean, I hate to say it, but you've got to almost be draconian. Like if you're going to take advantage, especially doing shit what you did to the Ledger guy. I think,
Crazy.
Snoop could probably speak to this better, but I don't know if France, I've heard people make fun of their police and their intel. I have no idea if that's accurate or not, but that, to me, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it depends on place and setting. It depends on many circumstances. I mean, when I was chatting to Sailor, he didn't have any security or bodyguards, and I doubt he was strapped. I think it was just him at a Bitcoin conference talking Bitcoin. So, I think when you're inside certain settings, you could probably let your guard down to a little bit of an extent. But, if you are there protecting yourself, never make yourself vulnerable in any way, shape, or form, and don't put yourself in any haphazard way. But there are definitely malicious people out there who I mean, there's a whole bunch of Twitter threads I've been reading most recently that are they are scary. It is something to be concerned about and to think about. But again, nothing that can't be avoided with good security practice.
Yeah, I've got a buddy from this was 2 years ago. I don't know if he was in Vegas or it doesn't really matter where he was. He was wasted and he was with his buddies. He ordered an Uber and it was coming and then it canceled. He ordered another one. It canceled. And then he did it again and it canceled. And then he said, someone then just called him. He's like, "Hey, I'm your Uber driver. I'm coming now." And he's like, "Oh, great." Like I said, the guy was trashed. And then they were talking, and the guy was making small talk. He started talking about crypto, and he drove him somewhere else. They beat the shit out of him. Basically faced his phone and drained like 150 grand out of whatever Coinbase or Kraken wallet. Yeah. So the shit's real. Obviously, like Snoop is saying, he was not using best practices, but that was also 2 years ago while it's still what I wouldn't think would be on people's radars. And now, now it's clearly on all our radars, but I know the big ones are like, wherever you're going, don't talk about it. I mean, I don't have kids. I know no one in this space has kids, but don't talk about your kids. Don't post pictures of any of your kids. Just be fucking smart, and if you're going to send picture of the vacation, do it after. Be like, "Hey guys, here I am." Just common sense. Yeah.
But I mean, it's also worth noting that specifically in UK, I can talk about a little bit more than Europe, but knife crime is a big thing in the UK. And there has been a growing trend recently.
Stabbings galore.
Literally. Dude, you'll have kids on motorbikes, waiting outside nightclubs, as you said, waiting for drunkards in Mayfair, in sort of quite a nice high
Yep.
end area of London to just come stumbling down home, and they'll just sort of jump and get their watches and scoot off on their scooters, and the police do nothing about it. And so, I mean, this isn't something that is only a fear for crypto holders. This is a fear for anyone of any assets that they're sort of flaunting. I think this is sort of a life lesson that you can learn, which is there are people out there, and I think this world is only going to get a little more desperate over the next decade or two. And I don't think the world's going to become suddenly a better place overnight, unfortunately. So I think we're going to see probably more of this and less than this. Unless, as you said, there are some very heavy sentencing, very heavy sort of reasonings to prevent people to even consider doing this kind of stuff. But it is what it is. It's all part of the game, unfortunately.
Yeah,
totally. Kenny brings up an interesting point here. He says an interesting thought would be that Bitcoin becomes less attractive with Bitcoin being more socially accepted, as the police will be more onto it. Also, with on-chain analysis, it will be difficult to hide theft as everything can be traced. That's certainly an interesting angle. Yeah, I guess time will tell. Another thing I just want to point out, I just realized I'm seeing we have 307 audience members in attendance. So thank you guys for showing out. Just wanted to point out to anybody who's just kind of tuning in now, we're doing our merch giveaway at the end of the episode. We reward, any viewers for commenting, posting, interacting. We just want to get you guys involved and, just make this a fun show for everybody. So as we go through these shrooms, just let us know what you think of them. Tell us about your experience with some of these hardware wallets. We want to hear some stories, and yeah.
But share the show, repost it, please.
Yes, please. We'd love to get out there into the ether. But yeah, so I think we kind of left off at the lore time for this little guy, and again, I want to remind everyone we're doing number 682 multi-sig. So this is our multi-sig key shroom. And Shroomtoshi left a description for this one, and it said, for slightly more technical users, multi-sig is arguably the gold standard for protecting your Bitcoin, and then was kind enough to drop a link in the inscription to bitcoiner.guide/multisig with a little intro there, which I think is kind of cute. He's put a lot of these links into various shrooms, which is kind of neat, etching it into history. So I think the message, again, fairly direct, which is nice. But we do owe the audience an explanation of how multi-sig works at least a high level. And so again, multi-sig, short for multi-signature. It's a security feature on Bitcoin, and it requires multiple private keys to authorize a transaction. That is the high level concept here. And the setup enhances security by removing a single point of failure, basically. In other words, having just one person and one private key would allow an entire wallet to be compromised if that key was ever compromised. So mathematically, a multi-sig wallet must therefore contain a minimum number of, technically it's 2 participants, but ideally 3, to allow for a majority rule. You could have 2 participants, but that would technically allow for a deadlock or a split decision, meaning that if there was ever an ugly disagreement, the other participant could effectively screw you over and never sign anything. So that's a key point there. So technically, you can have higher amounts too. You could really go much higher in number of multi-sig participants. So what are the elements needed for users to make and operate a multi-sig wallet? That's something that I always wondered, because up until now I had never made a multi-sig transaction. So it's actually surprisingly easy. I was very pleased to have learned how, thanks to none other than our guest in the audience and co-host Kenny, who generously took the time to walk me through how to set up our own multi-sig wallet to crowdfund our Bitcoin Vegas booth. So that was a very worthwhile experience. And in this case, we used the Sparrow wallet, a very popular no-nonsense desktop application wallet. And yeah, we'll just break into it. So what are the high-level steps? First, every user basically downloads the Sparrow wallet on their PC or whatever wallet you're using. You go to make a new wallet. You specify you're going to use multi-sig as your modality. You then define what's called a key policy, which is specifying how many majority signatures your group is going to need to authorize a transaction. So you could do 2 out of 3 setup, which is probably the most common, but you can really define it how you want to. So You can even do what somewhat non-recommended, like I said, 2 of 2 setup, where you split the keys 50-50 between 2 people. Don't know if I recommend that, but you can do 3 of 5, and so on and so forth. So we'll talk about kind of what some of the trade-offs are at a high level. Here's a good illustration, right? With 2 of 3 signing, you have 1 extra life, I guess you could say, if you think of it as a video game. If one member dies, the remaining 2 can still sign transactions and access the funds. Again, the moment 3 or more of the 5 members die or are incapacitated. Oh, I'm sorry. With 3 of 5, you have 2 extra lives, unlike 2 of 3. That means that 2 people can die or be incapacitated without leaving you dead in the water. But as I was just about to say, that the moment 3 or more of the 5 members are incapacitated, those funds are lost permanently. So that's something I think fundamentally worth understanding about multi-sig. You still can lose the funds. There are other nuances to that too. You could do a 4 of 6 setup, and then the threshold for failure is still the same as a 3 of 5. In other words, you could lose 3 key signers and you'll still permanently lose those funds, just like a 3 of 5 setup. However, by increasing the amount of multi-sig participants, you give greater flexibility to who can sign if someone maybe can't do it at one point in time. So you can rotate responsibility. So that's kind of how this works mechanistically. There's a lot of math in there, but it all works out.
No, it's a majority, right? It's good for businesses. It's good for multiple people.
Totally.
With projects. Don't trust, verify. And, like you said, if someone dies or someone leaves the company obstinately, like used to be like, okay, the 2 of us now can get those funds out, move it to a new 2 of 3 multi-sig. And, so it gives you a lot of options. So
totally.
I mean, I would say it's almost needed, especially not only for projects, but for communities, because the amount of projects that just say, oh, they're rugged, that could have been avoided with a multi-sig, or at least those, that responsibility could have been shared and that excuse could not have been used. And so it is something, knowing that multi-sigs are involved, that should give you more peace of mind.
Totally. I agree. And I think, when people throw up that question, like, should we do a multi-sig wallet? Anyone who's going to say no to that should make you raise an eyebrow, because like you said, Snoop, I consider it to be a fairly essential feature for things that are going to involve, a lot of people, a lot of capital. It's a very core fundamental principle of signing transactions. So with that said, I just want users to kind of be aware that there are a few things that you need to keep in mind when you're participating in a multi-sig. It's important not only, I don't want you to just think that you can just store your own private key out of all of them and that's it. Everyone has to have a copy of the public keys. Each participating member gets a public key, and everyone else who's participating needs those copies. And then there's 1 or 2 other things, the wallet will provide you. It's called the derivation path and the script type. But again, it's copy paste, very easy, but just want people to be aware. It's not just a matter of storing a single private key. You need to know that public key that everyone else has. And so with that said, it's a fairly easy thing, and the wallets make it quite easy. And now congratulations. You are ready users. That is
all
true.
Right, let's move on to the next one. This one is just a classic.
This is one to get excited about. Take it away.
So this one is called Spectre, and you'd think I bought it for the old Spectre wallet, which I didn't. I bought it for the obvious reason, because it's effing Blinky from Pac-Man.
Sick.
And if anyone remembers when Pac-Man was first out, before they modified it to go more random, there was a pattern that you could do to get all 7 keys, and then the board would just keep repeating over and over. But there was actually a pattern that someone figured out to get all 7 keys. But Blinky is indeed the top chaser of Pac-Man himself. The red one is the number 1. So when I saw this one, it was between this and Bitcoin Corn one, and he actually Shrimtoshi had just sold that one before, but I'm glad he did, because I think I like this one better.
Major choice.
So I bought it for all the wrong reasons. I never use Spectre, but Rolo, why don't you quickly take us through Spectre, just so we aren't
Sure.
I think an hour and a half is a good, that's a good show vibe, 2 hours, and I think it could be paint dry material.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Spectre wallet, it's a really cool one. I love the design on it, like you said, very, very iconic. Shroom Toshi's description for this one was, and Spectre Wallet is likely the easiest way to do multi-sig on Bitcoin. So a nice little follow-up on exactly what that was. Message is fairly clear. But that said, out of all the hundreds of existing Bitcoin wallets out there, why was Spectre important enough for Shroom Toshi to make an entire shroom about it? So, Spectre is not just any Bitcoin wallet. It's fairly unique because it embodies a lot of the fundamental principles that were outlined in not just today's episode, but other previous ones. And those include things like self-custody, multi-sig security. It runs a full Bitcoin node integrated into it. It's completely open source for transparency. And then last but not least, but very important, privacy first design with Tor integration and no KYC requirements. So hits all the marks. And, the wallet's effectively geared towards node users who can run blockchain and avoid third-party servers while also making it private. So that's pretty damn good overall. And, anyone out there in the audience, if you've used it before, if you've used Spectre Wallet, drop a comment. We'd love to hear what you think about it. But the last part of our lore dive here, before we move on to next shroom, is, I think art and symbolism. Why might ST have dedicated the design to the Pac-Man ghost? You hit on it a little bit, Blue, as far as Blinky. I thought this was kind of cool and a little Easter egg. Blinky, is actually really the name of the Pac-Man character. There was Pinky, Inky, Clyde. But Spectre was actually...
Pinky, and Clyde. Got to get the order
right.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, for sure. And... But later there was an expansion to the franchise, and Spectre was an actual Pac-Man character. And then from the perspective of the wallet guys who made this app, Spectre itself, you could argue the word means ghost or apparition, and I think it probably suggests the idea that Bitcoin users should operate in a stealthy and privacy first manner. So I think Shroom Toshi's choice to kind of make this symbol, exactly the branding that these guys used. It's cool. It's a clever visual and brand identity. So that's really what this is about.
And one other piece on Spectre, I think what was cool about it too was, it's software that goes on your desktop, but it actually, we heard about what Snoop was telling us about the Ledger and the Trezor hacks. This actually serves as kind of an intermediate and another layer of security between that. So even a compromised Trezor wallet can be safely accessed as if you haven't already been drained to get your funds out of there.
Yeah, no, good point. With that said, we can segue onto
what a great shroom though. What an awesome shroom. I love it. Maybe I should. I know Ski Guy gives me a lot of shit for it. Like, should I just switch to that as the PFP or no, to keep the blue guy?
I'm in favor. I would obviously vote yes. Ski God can chime in all he wants here.
Stretch a shroom legs, I reckon.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even. Is that like? Are you actually serious, or are you like, because it's pretty obvious. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I still don't even know what yours is. So yeah, I think this makes sense. Also, the timing makes sense with it too, right? I think the character in like Pac-Man is in that era of kind of the, the pixelated, nostalgic vibe he's going for. So it kind of fell right into fell right into his palm there. I like the pink one though. I won't lie. I like Pinky.
No, Pinky. Yeah. Which way? Hold on. Which one is it? Yeah. There we go. So Speedy, Pinky. Yeah. Binky, Pinky, Inky, and Clyde. Although the order is Inky, Binky, Pinky, and Clyde.
Well,
I think Pac-Man is a fully inscribed game. I think I found someone who had actually basically, if you go into Ordos, we've added it in there, so it's actually in the Our Games section or the Our Inscriptions. But yeah, literally fucking full on Pac-Man playable. Pretty cool.
That's pretty badass. I like that. So if you guys want, we could do our next little guy here. This is number 863, which is unidentified fungal object. So I'm excited to say we've reached our second UFO. And as a reminder to listeners, Shroom Toshi redacted the name and description of
I had to say.
I love it. To all our Pac-Man fans out there,
Snoop is
Go
right.
check out Ordos.
I gotta go play
Yeah.
that.
Had a mute button.
No, that's great.
For Ordos.
That's
next.
great. So yeah, I think we were just about to dive into UFO number 2 of the series. And as I was saying, Shrimtoshi had redacted some of these guys for various reasons, and you can hear about that in episode 2 if you want to check that back. But from a little digging within our community, I found that Shroom number 863 is dedicated to the Trezor wallet, which is a pioneering digital hardware wallet that we touched upon a little earlier.
That's the T1.
Yeah.
Model
I think it's a pretty cool design. Yeah. I think the model, Trezor Model 1. It's a cool design. I like this one. Base is a clean gray classic sort of shroom, clearly with some sort of hardware device attached to it, and personally a fan. Funnily enough, the visuals actually made me kind of think of like an ailing hospitalized shroom that's been hooked up with some sort of like IV drip device, which is absurd because it's clearly not that, but I don't know, it's just where my mind went. But anyway, what do you guys think of this one?
I'm a big fan
love
of
all the classical shroom styles.
You like it,
I think
Snoop?
always. Yeah, I love the classical shrooms and anything with hardware on
Same.
it. It's an in the box for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the line? I'm trying to. Is that the USB cord going into his head?
The USB cable. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you do have to, because Ledger's the only one that does it over the air. I'm a cord guy myself, but yeah, very familiar with this device. Big fan of the device. Yeah, I don't know if I would have put that cord in there, or maybe I would have put it like going around his head. I mean, if we're gonna get, but it is interesting. But the shape is the shape spelling stuff. It's almost like a balloon animal dog, I guess, if you kind of look at it in a certain way. The nose, the ear, it's lifting its back leg to pee. I don't know.
Or fart.
Maybe.
Hey, do we dare ask Ski God what he thinks of this one?
I don't know.
I don't know if we want to hear
I
it.
mean,
It could be bad.
I would say it's, I actually do have that Trezor. It's like better. I was trying to think if there's like any intention behind like the shape of the USB cable, like Blue was saying, but I'll be honest, I just think he picked some random pixels and kind of made it just to like look like a cord. What's funny though is like the color I think is the same drab color as the refrigerator, right? However, like when you put it in the shape of a shroom head, all of a sudden it kind of looks cooler, rather than the fridge shape. So I'm just like the shroom head shape just really makes kind of any color kind of works except that.
Yeah, something interesting too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ski.
I'm done. Go ahead. I'm lagging a little bit, so I know that I'm gonna. Yeah.
No worries. I was just gonna point out that we will see with some of the upcoming 2 shrooms that as whimsical as Shrimtoshi might have been with some of the pixels and like placing them in spots that might be random, as we take a nod back to previous episodes, there were moments where we learned that there are little Easter eggs that are packed into a lot of these shrooms. He hid the Bitcoin symbol in some of these. Sometimes the shroom faces are kind of like baked in somewhere where you don't expect. And as we'll see with a couple of these down here, the placement of pixels can be deliberate. So it is interesting. I like looking and I like seeing, kind of thinking what could this have meant, because sometimes, and not just sometimes, oftentimes there's an actual purposeful meaning to some of the pixel placement, which is pretty damn cool. But anyway, yeah, it's I like this one. And lore time. It's, as mentioned before, consider this sort of like a warm wallet in the sense that it combines a digital cold storage chip as well as private keys in a second separate chip that's isolated. Trezor was first launched in 2014. Their first model, as stated before, was the Trezor Model 1. And it actually, it was considered Bitcoin's first true digital hardware wallet. And so it actually came before the Ledger Nano, even though the Ledger is arguably a little bit more popular maybe in terms of the market. But if you
Popular,
look at the
not
design
better.
aesthetics of the Model 1, yeah, exactly. And we'll certainly get into that. But if you look at the design aesthetics, you can connect the dots and see how it looks exactly like the device pictured in the unidentified shroom. So while Shroomtoshi let us kind of figure this one out, connections there for sure. One extremely important thing to point out, Trezor devices utilize completely open source firmware and software, which is unlike Ledger, who uses closed source firmware and chip elements. And that, as we kind of remarked earlier, means that users have to blindly trust Ledger's security claims. While, better than a hot wallet, it's not great either. I don't love the idea of just like placing my faith blindly in a company that has to get the security right, and clearly they have not always gotten it right. So it's a major distinction. I think perhaps it's why there exists a Trezor Shroom, in fact, and I confirmed with some of our OG Shroomers yesterday that there is not a Ledger Shroom. I don't think that was by accident. So has anyone used a Trezor device out there? And if you have, was it better or worse than its main competitor? Drop some comments. Let us know.
And and
that's all we got.
What's your seed phrase? Just share
and
it.
What's
share
your
it,
seed phrase?
Share it in the comments below.
Yeah.
Now, a thing it's worth pointing out is what makes Bitcoin so great is its simplicity. Like, it is still very, very complicated technology, but it's still simple in terms of how it operates.
Yes.
And any time you start adding complexity on top of anything, on top of simplicity, you open up possibilities of exploitation. And this is where things can go wrong, when these companies who are closed source try and get a little too adventurous or get a little too greedy and change code.
Cute.
And when you're closed sourced, they get cute, as you put it. You have no idea what's happened or when it's happened until it's too late. And so the whole notion of don't trust, verify is perfect with open source, because you can literally check the code and verify yourself, or get someone to verify it for you. That is the beauty of open source. So Bitcoin is great because it's simple, and it was by design, just to make sure it just continued to work.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, Snoop, because one feature that Trezor has made users aware of is that they have a Bitcoin only mode. You can select that and actually weed out the complexities of the other altcoin functionalities. So, and I'm really glad you brought it up, because a later stream that we're gonna cover on the cold wallet keeps it that simple for that very reason. Avoid those complexities, keep it simple. So yeah, it's a great point, man. So that's the UFO number 3, I believe, and then our next one, we have another UFO actually.
When you say UFO, what is that? It's one that he has not identified. Is that
Shroomtoshi? Yeah, he lovingly referred to these as unidentified fungal objects.
Got it.
Or UFOs. So
I missed that part.
Cute little name he gave them, but yeah. So this one, it was it's another UFO, and from our community digging as well, we deduced that this one is more than likely dedicated to the cold card wallet. You can actually look at a photo of the cold card wallet, and you'll see that the design elements exactly match those of the artwork. And so, kind of drawing back to what we said earlier, from a technical artwork perspective, I really, really like this room because of the attention to detail. Namely, the amount of buttons are exactly the same as in the artwork, as well as the signature little display screen at the top and the green status light at the top. Shroomtoshi was a details dude, and he put these pixels in all the spots to make sure this one was like a nice, accurate representation. So purely aesthetic standpoint, I find it clean, it's nice looking, it's a little bit tall, a little oblong like the cold storage room, but at least the color palette is intricate, details are more interesting. That's just me, but how about you guys?
Yeah, cold card's another good, like you said, I don't think there was any accident that Ledger didn't make it in there, but cold card is a great cold storage device, just as Trezor is. They dedicate themselves. My only problem with Trezor, and I think this is true for cold card too, which drives me nuts, is they're definitely Bitcoin maxis. So using a hardware wallet to secure your overpriced ordinal JPEGs is not possible right now. You could certainly send it to your Trezor wallet and it could sit there, but then you'd have to spin that BIP39 up on a different device just to make sure you didn't accidentally spend it. So
Good point.
so yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, I'm not a Ledger fan, but
Yeah.
if I think Ledger, maybe Snoop can correct me if I'm wrong. I think they're the only game in town who has integration with some of the software wallets. I know there's Xverse Ledger integration, but I've reached out to Trezor and they're just like, yeah, no. Yeah, and Kenny's saying learn to use Sparrow too, which is totally true. I mean, Sparrow's great, but Sparrow,
Nice.
Sparrow can be cold storage too. But he's got a good point.
Yeah. Did a couple mints on Sparrow, and it was quite easy for the ordinal functionality. So good point, Kenny. As far as lore time for this little guy, what is a cold card wallet, and why? Again, it always begs the question: why dedicate an entire shroom to this one? And I think that the differences in the subtleties are what make it important. So the cold card wallet, it's an air-gapped hardware wallet, and it's basically renowned for its highly robust security features that are tailored, as we said, specifically for Bitcoin users. This thing does not do altcoins, it doesn't do memes, it doesn't do anything else. It's just Bitcoin. And a unique feature is its air-gapped operation. So basically, users can sign transactions basically without ever connecting to a computer. And it utilizes methods like micro SD cards that you would transfer physically over an air gap to sign anything. So that significantly minimizes exposure to potential online threats. And while both Cold Card and Trezor are, they're reputable hardware wallets, you can see how they differ in several key aspects. The Cold Card, again, Bitcoin only, air gap. Trezor does not do that. Trezor, though, is often praised for its user-friendly interface, and it makes it a little bit more accessible for beginners. While on the other hand, the Cold Card arguably could be said is a little more geared towards intermediate users, has some advanced security features, and might have a little bit of a steeper learning curve. So it's all spectrum, it's all preferences. And so, drop us a comment. Have you ever used the Cold Card wallet? Definitely would like to hear what you guys think of it. I've never used one personally, so would love to hear what you guys think.
Snoop, you have any takes? I think it's like I said, Cold Card and Trezor are the two best ones personally. But
Yeah.
More of a Trezor guy than something. But while you're saying that, Ron, it made me think. The removal of friction too quickly could not necessarily be a good thing for Bitcoin. The friction we've had to go through has taught us the value of understanding exactly what's going on under the hood. Now, if you remove that friction altogether, people may not necessarily understand the severity of what they're dealing with key or ownership, or they're not going to move away from the idea that someone else is going to be controlling their keys. So maybe an easy user interface isn't necessarily what we need. It's more an easy education to teach people why it's so important. Now, again, I over the two, Trezor is what I've used, and so I can't speak too much for this. But, it's a shroom, so I love it. But it did make me just think, as you were saying that, maybe removing friction too quickly in some areas might not be a best move. Because I know certainly that friction is the...
I think that's an awesome point and really important too, because it's something I fully agree with it. I think that only through difficult processes or learning, when something forces you to have to kind of like figure it out, will you fully understand it at a better level and know how not to fuck things up. And I agree, sometimes that friction is necessary. You can reach a certain point where you've done the hard things and you've learned how, and then at that point, if you want to go nuts and put a little bit of funds in a hot wallet, as long as you understand what you're signing off on, I think that's the key difference. I totally agree with you, because otherwise people are just going to know it at a superficial level and not really go any deeper and kind of think about it. So I 100% agree.
I'm actually a huge fan. I don't know if this applies, but just friction and ordinals in general. Like I know OpCat one day will make things simpler and smoother, but for me, it's like everybody is in a rush to like have their ordinals go up and obviously their runes go up to get to supposedly get out the door. But for me, this is a time to just be patient, gather over the years while it's still frictiony. You know, the wallet integration with Magic Eden certainly is, in other markets has gotten better, but I think high friction right now for me is welcome because I do think ordinals especially is like a medium to long term play.
Feel like Ski might not be a high friction guy. He's a lube me up kind of guy. Make that shit.
Guys,
easy.
just go buy the ETFs, guys. Don't worry about any of this discussion. To be honest, like America has
sacrilege. That's for me.
America has deemed it safe for you to do this. For the fact that you might even need to ever think about what a cold card is just dumb, unnecessary. Go trust Larry Fink. Trust the big boys, the adults in the room. They're going to take care of it for you. And don't worry.
His clown hat's on.
You'll still make money. I bet most people out there will make their first mistake in self-custody rather than buying an ETF.
Well, of course.
Well,
so we should,
yeah.
We'll agree with that. We should burn this one. We should burn this one as an ode to self-custody, finally handing the keys over to Larry Fink and company, and we can redo this shroom, I think, as a BlackRock shroom. I think that's what we should do.
It's always good to have a counter perspective. I love Kenny's comment there. I bet Ski trusted SBF.
Yeah.
Jabs.
And Do Kwon, Terra Luna, man. Luna token's coming back, baby.
Yeah, no, it's like, honestly, in one sense, I think I do agree with, like, people, you got to get fucking burned at some point. Like, it will happen. It's unavoidable. Everybody learns the hard lesson, and that's how you kind of wake up to things. But the question is, how fucking badly do you get burned? Like, could it be you had all of your savings in FTX? That's a bad one. Did you experiment with a few sats in, your own little private wallet and lose the keys? Lessons are important, but yeah. I still, it's good to have your counter perspective, Ski.
Usually.
Sometimes.
Let's move on. So hardware storage, we get it. Hardware storage. So
get it.
This one is the final one. Rolo, why don't you give us a short little clip on this guy?
This is our penultimate one before we get to our favorite, an absolute legend. So I'm excited to kind of get to that one. We'll kind of skip this one and we'll go quickly. But
looking up penultimate.
This one's cute. All right. This one's cute. It's a fun one. It's part of the whole like history spectrum and the story as told of Bitcoin's storage history. So fourth unidentified fungal object of the series. This episode's been packed with them, and thanks to our awesome community, we again kind of piece it together. This shroom is dedicated to none other than the Open Dime USB payment device. And so for aesthetics, I don't find it exactly a clean shroom. I think I like the exposed chipset design, though. I also, again, harking back to what we said earlier, I again really like the fact that this shroom or Shroomtoshi paid attention to details and arranged all those little pixels to accurately match the device's silicon chipboard. So if you actually look closely, the thing is like bang on, which is cool. So, what do you guys think of this one? Well, real quickly, I'll just kind of get your thoughts on that. I'd love to know.
I mean, as someone who's been building custom PCBs for maybe 15 years now, this one does appeal to me. I love it. I couldn't get it, but I do love it.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
Yeah, because it just reminds you of the innards of like like a Raspberry Pi or just the actual circuit board. I mean, this thing is just one step above just the raw guts of something, right? I mean, so I'm a big fan as well.
Cool. And market history too. This one actually sold on secondary and went for two Bitcoin. So someone also really liked it, and it's a cool piece. So again, so for lore time, what the hell is an open dime device. It is basically, it's a small USB stick that allows people to spend Bitcoin in a physical manner, almost like a dollar bill. So it acts as a read-only USB flash drive, and that displays a Bitcoin public address and a little QR code. And the private key basically just gets generated inside, and no human at any point knows what that private key is until you break the seal and decide to spend it, almost like a piggy bank. So this thing was meant to kind of be like a little passable, physically passable piggy bank, and it's irreversible once you break it, and so it's kind of like a one-use thing. But apparently, OpenDime says you can tell if it's been tampered with due to a tamper-evident seal. Who knows how true that is? I don't trust anything these days, as one generally shouldn't, but that's the way it's said to work. And you might be asking yourself, okay, well, like, why did people use this thing? What was this for? I think one cool use case potentially, if you think about this, is actually orange pilling people who have never used Bitcoin before. Imagine having a little like punch bowl of these things, and you hand them out to, hand small amounts of sats out to people and say, plug this thing into your PC, figure it out. And that could be a cool little orange pill device, pun intended. But summary, it's a little device that bridged the gap between physical and digital Bitcoin transactions, and I think that kind of enhanced the versatility and usability of Bitcoin in some way, shape, or form. And it's part of Bitcoin's storage history. So I think that's why Shroomtoshi dedicated an entire shroom to it. Even if people, a lot of people don't use it, it's pretty niche, but it showcases the creativity people had in the realm of Bitcoin storage, and I think it shows how Bitcoin storage modalities evolved over time. So that's it for that one.
I'm beginning to think that this Shroomtoshi guy liked Bitcoin.
All right. Yeah, like, what gave that away? I'm kind of suspecting the same thing. But I'm super excited to segue us to our final shroom, which I think is just
And just one note as we transition, Rollo,
Yeah,
these Sats
please.
card, like you're talking about how to like onboard someone with a little Bitcoin, or just having like a portable wallet that's like NFC enabled, that kind of it's like Soup said, this doesn't remove all the friction, but these coin kite cards are they're kind of cool. They just sit in your pocket like a credit card, and Bitcoin's on them, and I think you get to use them 10 times with addresses, but they totally protect your private keys until you use the little secret code. So they're pretty clever, and I think at Inscribing Atlantis,
Nice.
those guys are going to be doing something pretty neat with some of this stuff and some custom design and stuff. So just worth noting.
That's awesome. I like that they're still out there, and creative little angle on like how to get people involved. So very, very cool. So look at this beauty. My goodness. Before we just dive in, we're at our final shroom here. We've got 404 people on board.
Nice.
Thank you guys for showing out. Want to just say one final time, get in the comments there. We're going to do our shroom giveaway at the end. And come check us out for our Vegas booth coming up this May. We're going to be out there with Shroom merch once again. We're giving away this beautiful little LOL beanie. And so go check that out. The LOL Shroom is on the market right now. It's going for 2.59 Bitcoin. I do not own it. I don't know who does. But this is a sick little beanie and a sick shroom. So a little beauty. I've been eyeing that one. I will say it's one of my favorites. But anyway, ordinal number 860, the Casacious coin, our final shroom. It is an absolutely legendary one for more reasons than one. One many consider a grail of grail shroom. This shroom is dedicated to what's known as Casacious coins, and they are a limited series of physical Bitcoins that were produced until 2013. And so aesthetics. First of all, I think it's absolutely stunning. It's a visually eye-catching design, hits all the check boxes for me. Large size, really bold shroom. Same time manages to somehow look very symmetric and clean. The colors at the bottom just really pop. In terms of aesthetics, I think it's one of my top favorite shrooms. It's personally a number 15 on my top 30 list, and we'll go back to that later. But Ski God and I we were literally discussing this shroom while in our ski lodge this past week in the hot tub, just saying, if this thing fucking popped onto the market, that'd be gone. I would that's the
Oh,
one
I
I'd grab.
thought you owned this one.
I wish, man.
You know what? The bubble one has kind of cool.
I've got the
similar
bubble.
big-headed vibes. Yeah, okay. I thought.
Yeah,
This one is badass. Like even though it's way bigger than the normal, the cap or the Mario Brothers cap or helmet. This one's just cool because how do you pronounce? Is it the Casacious? I always just said
I watched a YouTube video,
Okay.
and they were calling it Casacious coin, so maybe it's Casacious, but yeah.
Casacious, okay. Casacious.
I agree. The thing is a bit larger than life, but what does our audience think? What do you guys think about the shroom? Are you guys fans? Drop us a little comment and let us know. Also, if you're out there, owner, come chat. But yeah, so Lord
Ski,
time.
you gotta like this one.
Let me throw it over to you guys. Yeah, I was gonna say let's get Ski Guy's take. He's been a little harsh on some of these. What are your thoughts, Mr. Ski?
This is a top 3 shroom for me.
There it is.
Wow.
I think it's amazing. I think it's stands out in a crowd. It's like asymmetric, but it's like it's kind of got weird, your eyes track all over it. And I think like which you'll probably cover, like once you realize what an actual Casacious coin is, which I would really like to have one, it turns into like a much more meaningful shroom. So I think it has everything. I think it stands out from the collection. It stands out as a PFP. It goes way back in time to like where people were trading physical kind of Bitcoin holdings, and also I just think it's an absolute kind of overall. It's got it all. It's a banger.
Yeah. It's beauty little timepiece. What do you think, Snoop?
I was wondering how much they'd be going for now, because I think I also would love
some stats for you.
It's a beauty. Not the top 3 in my opinion, but it's definitely high up there.
Cool. Well, so with that said, we can go into some of that. There's some really, really interesting stats behind Casacious coins. For anybody who's tuned in and doesn't exactly know what they are, I'm just going to quickly, spell it out and go into a little history. So, lore time for this bad boy. What are Casacious coins? Why are they so damn legendary? And why are they sought after among Bitcoiners? I found an outstanding summary of what Casacious coins are from bitcoinwiki.org, and it goes as follows. Casacious physical Bitcoins, also called Casacious coins, are physical metal coins created by Bitcoin user Casacious, aka Mike Caldwell from Sandy, Utah. And they sold until November 26, 2013. They basically contain an embedded piece of paper with digital Bitcoin value covered by a tamper-resistant hologram. Casacious coins are available in 1, 10, 25, 100, and 1,000 BTC increments. God. They can be purchased at Casacious's website, www.casacious.com, Bitcoin accepted only, or at memorydealers.com, PayPal and credit cards accepted. The coins are designed such that they could be circulated in face-to-face transactions. The first person to redeem its private key gets the value on the coin, and afterwards, the coin no longer has any Bitcoin value. It is difficult or impossible to read the private key on the coin without damaging or destroying the hologram, which exposes a honeycomb-like tamper-evident pattern when peeled. So, the last little bit on this, the history of the Casacious coins, it is interesting and it adds to kind of like the lore and why people love these. As of November 27, 2013, Mike Caldwell suspended sales of items that contain digital Bitcoins. The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, a branch of the Treasury Department, informed him that before minting physical Bitcoins, that qualifies you as a money transmitter business. Which means he would need to register at the federal level and probably get state licenses as well. So that's seized, and that is it. So
yeah, they went into his house like I think what he got out. Oh yeah, this was a big deal. Yeah, and what a great effing idea. Like obviously, we love ordinals because we talk about inscribing and literally etching on the sat or the almost the metaphor of a coin, right? Well, This guy actually did it,
Right.
and with the hologram, had the best we could do tamper-proof way for a physical object to have that. But I mean, this one right here,
For sure.
$48 million for 1,000 Bitcoin. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
It's crazy, man.
How freaking cool these are, and how it bridges the gap between virtual and actual like coin collectible. I mean, I don't know what the most expensive coins in the world are, but I mean, fuck, 48 million with that Bitcoin on there. Like, it'd have to be like an emperor, like a Roman emperor, like an early emperor's coin, or something like that, like a piece of gold that's stamped with their stuff and it's more hand done. I mean, it's crazy.
So what's funny about this, and I'm really glad you brought it up, and it's hilarious, I think, in a way. To quote the president of the company that submitted one of these Casasius coins for that valuation, they said its value eclipses classic coins such as the 1933 Saint Gaudens Double Eagle recently auctioned at Sotheby's for $18 million, or the Sultan of Muscat 1804 draped bust dollar purchased for $7.6 million. So this quite literally set the record for the world's most valuable, the Sultan's bust, the world's most valuable physical coin. So coin collectors, I think it's called numismatic. There's a word for that, but coin collectors are diehard folks, and they graded this one through the what is it called, the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, and this was actually graded, actually valued, and just a month after that, there was a notable record sale of a 25 Bitcoin one. It was sold for 1.69 million, November of 2021, and that was a $50,000 premium over the price of Bitcoin by market at the time. So that's another interesting fact. These unspent Casasius coins, they're really sought after. The actual Bitcoins tied to those medallions command a really good premium, and they've often sold for multiples of whatever the market price is. So even the empty one, just a Casasius medallion without the Bitcoin, has sold anywhere from like 0.1 to 0.15 Bitcoin at current prices, or like around 10 to 15 grand. So it's pretty wild. And then, it doesn't stop there. There are other little interesting facts, like another interesting tidbit. Not only did they have like different Bitcoin amounts, but as you went up in the Bitcoin amount, the precious metal got even more valuable. So like they had the $1,000 Bitcoin, or the 1,000 Bitcoin one was a 1 troy ounce gold coin known as the gold Cass. And then the 25 Bitcoin one was I think it was like a silver coin known as the baby Cass or something like that. So
wow,
it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, just think about this, like Bitcoin with the hologram on freaking gold, and the gold isn't the valuable part. That's better. Just like the thing it's on. I mean, it's kind of just blows your mind. Even 1 Bitcoin. Yeah. What's gold right now? Like 2,800 per ounce. But I mean, I told this story last week, and I won't belabor it again this week, but I could have gotten one of these Casasius coins, for like, I think it was $1,000, but Bitcoin was $500. So they were going for double Bitcoin. It was a 1 Bitcoin one for $1,000, and then Bitcoin went from 500 to $1,000 literally like overnight. And I was like, $2,000 now. Fuck, I missed out. It's too expensive. So,
Hey, yeah, they're still for sale. They have all these eBay listings and auctions. It's kind of wild that there's a whole secondary market for them.
You think I could still get it for that price?
I mean,
are they
how scammy is the secondary market going to be, though? Like, how are you going to know? They're going to get the sale and then just peel the thing off and send you the coin.
Well, no, Snoop Toshi, his eBay rating is 84%. I mean, it's mostly good, right?
That's all you need.
Got to be a blue star and above seller. Yeah. It's just like you said, man, it's crazy. Some dude is asking for like 750 grand for a 1 Bitcoin, apparently unspent, but like, apparently you can check on Casasius.com. Like you can apparently upload something on it and check to see if it's spent or not. But I don't know. Like, just like you said, that could get squirrely. But the last,
can you imagine trying to talk to eBay support about, I bought this thing. And he peeled a little sticker off of it when he sent it to me, and now it lost all its value. And now give me back my refund.
Yeah, there it is, that top listing. So that's 1 Bitcoin for $740. So not only not only have they
Good
gone
luck.
up in price, but so what is that? That's a 7x or a 700+% increase on the price of the actual coin. I mean, insane. And even the other ones are, I think they're like, so the unspent ones are like 12, 15 grand, or the ones that have already been spent. Even those would be cool. But then you're like, wait, I'm buying a piece of copper for 12 grand. Like, still cool.
Makes you
But
think.
yeah, I don't know. Would you guys ever buy something like that?
I would consider it because there was a limited production and
Right.
like diehard, physical coiners, they PCGS grade these things, and all those listings have like a grading. So there's a whole YouTube video on it. There was some guy who I think it's John Allen is his name, from like one of the venture firms. He's like a diehard collector and really like went into these. But there's all sorts of neat little tidbits too. Like there's one called the single error or double error Cassatius coin. Like they misprinted the private keys, and then those command like a way higher premium. And there was some record auction in 2022.
I was wondering what error meant. Is you listed a picture of one of those. I saw that one. Okay, so error, but those were going for like 12. I mean, obviously the Bitcoin was already spent, but they were going for like 12 to 15 grand, right?
Yeah, just the case. But then I think one that was actually
just
loaded
the case.
for like,
Got it. So got it. Didn't even have the coin. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and one of them.
Honestly, like,
go ahead.
I wouldn't mind having like I think I'd almost prefer having an empty one to like not have to like
Speak on
think
that.
about the like I just don't want to have to worry about the value in it and kind of like I'd rather just have what it represents and having the physical coin, and if it costs whatever just to have the shell, the hologram. I actually would prefer that than having to hold any like real true value on this coin.
That's on your wall in your living room as we're showing the show.
Yeah,
People are like,
exactly.
Note to self,
Like,
he lives somewhere.
I think it'd be cool. Like you could like
point.
bring it to a party. You could bring it to a party or something and be like, this thing used to have like 100 Bitcoin on it. And I don't know, it's kind of a cool like memento, if you will.
Totally.
When
One thing that's kind of interesting. Go ahead, Blue.
Go ahead. When he said bring it to a party, I'm just thinking of that meme where the guy's in the corner and he's like, "Don't they know I'm holding my Cassatius coin or in a necklace
coin
around my neck?" And everyone's dancing.
Don't they know that this used to be worth millions of dollars?
That's great. That is good.
So go ahead, Rollo.
What was I thinking? Yeah. So to your point, Ski, like some of those error ones, apparently, like because of the misprint, apparently like the Bitcoins were locked forever. And so some of those, that I think that's why some of them were like so valuable, commanded this premium, because those ones in particular, not all of them, but some of them were like permanently lost. And so the Bitcoin, I guess you could say, is like baked into the coin. Like you can't even like spend it if you want to, is apparently what the deal is with some of those. So kind of cool little neat quirks and features of Bitcoin history right there.
100%.
Yeah. So that's it. That's our last shroom of the day, but a legendary one to end on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, as always, gentlemen, this has been a super fun show. So we've got the giveaway. I guess we'd have to see. Let me just check real quick. Rollo, I'll have you give me a number. We'll see who reposted this thing, and then we'll go from there. Okay, give me a number between. Well, you can't win it. Let's see. Give me a number between 1 and 1.
Between 1 and 1. Oh, this is very philosophically, existentially challenging. Let's go with 1.
Okay. Chirol is the winner. So great dude. Congratulations. You got the hat.
All right.
He is the winner. So
congratulations, sir.
Great show, everyone. Love talking about the shrooms and hardware wallets. I think we gave Ski God some stuff to think about. Maybe not keeping his public keys on a unencrypted text file on his Macintosh. So good show.
That's some cold, hard thinking to do.
How dare you assume that I would ever use Macintosh? Second of all, this is only reaffirmed that I don't want to self-custody shit. So honestly, this has been a really eye-opening experience for me and has really made me realize how much of a non-Bitcoin history buff that I truly am. I am part of the new Bitcoin venture, okay? I am going to take it forward for you guys and you will be left in the dust. Me and Larry Fink are going to take care of you boys. You're welcome.
I love it.
That's cold, dude. That's cold.
I love it. All right, guys. Well, the Shrooms are coming every week. We're doing this as long as most of us are here at Thursdays, 12 noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 10 a.m. Pacific. So, Ski Guide, you guys have a show right after this, right? So check out Ski God and Kenny's show, The Orange Pill. It's coming up right after this. And then, obviously, check out Shroom Sundays. With also Ski God and Kenny hosting that. It's a great show, and it was a real spicy one this last Sunday with all the shit going on.
Oh, that was wild.
My God.
That was wild.
I was watching a football game, about to take a nap, and I'm getting all this anxiety. I'm like, I got to turn this off. There's too much. Like, I don't need weekend drama. Like, my drama starts on Monday. None of this weekend crap. I gotta hang with the fam. So, good times, guys. Go check out Ski God's show. And until next week, Snoop, thanks for joining us. You're always welcome up.
Thank you, Snoop.
We got to get to your shroom, or one of your many, but your main one that you use as your PFP. That one will be coming at the end. So with that said, everybody take care, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
Great.